Hi there, my name is Sherry Rothwell, and in this masterclass series, I'm going to be sharing with you how to troubleshoot weight loss. So you can see on the slide here, I'm saying natural weight loss. What do I mean by that? Well, there's things you can do to force fat off your body, restrictive diets, excessive exercise. That's not natural weight loss. And if you've ever done that before, you know that it doesn't last for long, even if you can get results. What I mean by natural weight loss is bringing balance to your body systems, to your metabolism, so that your body has no need anymore for extra body fat. So, in this series, we're going to be going through some of the common obstacles that people have to being able to lose weight naturally and then actually have that weight stay off. So, we're going to be covering how to identify the key reason that the majority of people have trouble with different macro centered diets. We're going to look at cravings and what causes people to have cravings. And also, we're going to end your confusion about carbs. So, what this is going to do, this series, is it's going to give you the understanding of why it's been difficult for you to lose weight and why, what works for one person may not work for you, or what's worked for you in the past isn't working for you anymore. It's going to shed light on all of these different aspects of weight loss that people get really stuck at and then assume that, you know, they'll never be able to lose weight. So I've been in your shoes. I've been overweight and I have done a lot of different things. And I've had points in my life where I thought, well, I'm doing everything right. If I'm overweight and I'm already doing everything right, then there's no hope for me. I might as well just like give up. And I've had other points in my life where I was like, wow, it's just so easy for me to maintain my weight. And I truly believed that I would never struggle with my weight again. But that's not the case. I did actually end up struggling with my weight again. So I'm going to be going straight into the content here and just but in one of the upcoming videos, I'm going to share with you more about my story. All is to say that there's a lot of different perspectives on weight loss. And when we're in the middle of it and we're so inside of our own body, it's difficult to see outside of that, to see where we might be missing something on our journey, like some sort of perspective that can be the key to giving us the information that we need to personalize the approach that we need to bring our body back into balance so that it can release the body fat without you having to really try to. Okay, so does any of this sound familiar to you? You can lose the weight, but always gain it back. Or maybe you started to lose weight, but then you hit a plateau. And then after that, your weight wouldn't budge, right? So you're always doing the same thing, but suddenly that same thing that was working before stops working. Or, when you gain it back, oftentimes we end up gaining back more weight than before we started the diet, right? Because the restriction of calories and nutrients causes our body to get into stress and a holding pattern. And then it slows our metabolism down to cope with that. And then when we go back to eating our old way, we gain even more weight because now we're eating the same diet we were before we started dieting that got us overweight, but we're doing it on a slower metabolism, right? So that's why people gain more weight back. Maybe you've tried every diet, but nothing seems to work for your body. So it's totally confusing. So-and-so's eating, high fat diet and they're losing tons of weight. Oh, so-and-so is eating a low carb diet and they're gaining weight. And oh, this person's eating a high protein diet and they're losing weight. And what, right? Like what it doesn't make sense. Why do these things work for them, but not for you? In this masterclass series, you are going to find out. Maybe every diet has worked for you to a point, but always stopped working at some point and then led to that extra weight gain after. Very common. Or maybe it's more of like a frustration with dieting. Maybe you can do it. If you starve yourself and you exercise like crazy, you can lose weight, but you become so grumpy that you're just such an emotional wreck that actually in the end, it just ends to quitting and binge eating. Maybe while you're dieting, because you're so deficient in nutrition, you find yourself thinking about food every single day. Or some of you might experience that you just think about food all the time because you're not allowed to have it, right? It's kind of like one of those things where if you can't have it, you want it. And basically you're just feeling deprived, right? And constantly starving. And of course, if you're not getting enough nutrients, then you're going to be starving. Maybe you're annoyed with practically having to be a mathematician to formulate a meal, right? Like counting your carbs, counting your fat, counting your calories, counting your protein, right? Like it's, oh my God, you just want to eat food, right? You're just tired of counting all those calories with the accuracy of a NASA mission. Like, so annoying. Nobody wants to live like that. So believe me, I'm the same. When I actually found myself obese, I was like, absolutely not. I'm not counting calories. Like, I do not want to live like that, which is why I'm here at a natural, normal weight, because I didn't give up. I kept searching for answers, and did not just accept that I was overweight. And I also didn't accept that I should have to count calories and do something totally unnatural to be a natural weight. Of course, there's people out there who they eat tons of food and they never gain a pound, right? Or there's lots of people that just like, they have a natural body weight, they don't count calories. So why would that be the solution for you? Probably isn't. But that's for like the whole other concept to like basically break that down to, basically, I think most of us in society have been brainwashed to think that that is the only reason that we are overweight, when actually it's a whole bunch of other factors in society that cause people to gain weight. So a lot of people think that obese people are like lazy and all these different things. And that's terrible, right? Like there are so many aspects that affect a person's body and how it metabolizes nutrients and our macronutrients. And there's a lot of judgment out there about overweight people. And it's not always just because of like poor diet, right? Or eating too many calories. So there's, different diseases that actually affect your body and your metabolism. And then there's, different like body states where even when you're eating healthy, you can become obese. And that's what actually happened to me. I was eating a natural whole foods diet and I literally became obese. So that's just like a whole thing that it's unfortunate, because when people believe that's the only way to do it, then that stops working, which it will, because eventually it basically slows your metabolism down. Then people think that there's nothing that they can do. Right. And, I actually sit on some of these weight loss groups on Facebook and I watch, and I'll see somebody, talk about what they're doing and like, saying that they hit a plateau or whatever. And then, you have all these people yelling at them about, it's the calories, you're just eating too much. Da, 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 da. And that's actually the last concern. There's a lot of different things that you would do before you would even consider that you might be overeating. Because normally if a person is overeating, they're overeating because they're missing nutrition, right? So you have to actually address that first. And then once your body is in balance, you stop having, cravings and you stop actually overeating. So, that's an aside. So anyways, counting calories, that's not something that I do ever with clients. Any person can create a low calorie diet. Like, your dog could literally write you a low calorie diet, tell you to go exercise, right? So it's a lot more complex than that. And those of you who have tried everything, you've done everything right, you already eat healthy, or you already tried counting calories and it used to work for you and it doesn't work for you, what I'm talking about, that the answer is not going to be found there. Who counting calories works for? It works for someone who actually doesn't have any health issues, and usually they're young. Okay. And a lot of these people that are, yelling in all these weight loss forums are like, I'll actually click on their profile and I'll see them. They're like, these super young, fit people. And also sometimes it's like, let's say, even if a person was not young, but if you're super fit, you have a lot more leeway with certain things like carbohydrates, for example, because you have the muscle mass, and you actually use those muscles. So you actually can tolerate those carbohydrates differently than a obese person who hardly has any muscle mass, right? So we always have to meet people where they're at. We always have to look at the individual. Okay. Anyways, back to the presentation. You can rest assured that you're not the only one who deals with these issues, right? Like I did. I did not want to have to diet to maintain my ideal weight. I wanted to just be at a natural weight, which is obviously possible because many people are, without dieting. So the good news is that you don't have to live this way to lose weight naturally and keep it off. So just as there's no one size fits all approach to health and healing, there's no one size fits all approach to weight loss either. And by the end of this masterclass series, you're going to totally understand that there's reasons why certain diets work for you and certain diets don't. And then, there are certain things that you can do that can bring your unique body back into balance. And everyone is completely different. So maybe you might be thinking, like in the past, you might have thought maybe it's just genetic and there's nothing that you can do about it, right? Because, when you can't get results and then you give up on yourself, or, the people that you go to get help from, they give up on you. Then you want to throw in the towel, right? Like, oh, everybody else in my family was overweight, so then I have to be overweight too, right? That's what we imagine. But the truth is there's things from our ancestors and from our immediate family, like our parents, that, those things are actually playing out in our lives, right? So maybe we have a hereditary tendency because of how we were raised, but that doesn't mean that it's genetic at the gene level and can't be changed. Okay? Maybe you should just settle and accept the extra weight as your fate. I pondered that at 36 years old, because I was already eating a healthy whole foods diet. And I was like, well, I'm doing everything right. And if I'm going to be obese on a healthy whole foods diet, then what more can I possibly do? Right. But of course, I had these unique biochemical individual things happening inside of my body at that time that I needed to address specifically before my body would be willing to release that body fat. Maybe sometimes you think that you're not trying hard enough. If only you had more willpower with food. Really, if you have trouble with foods, there's a good reason for it. So we don't try to use willpower to avoid a food. We actually have to look at the individual level, what is missing in your life, your diet, or like specific nutrients, things that might be causing you to be attracted to foods that are not helpful for you and that are, harming your health and causing you to be overweight. So when I'm working with clients, I'm not thinking like, oh, you should, have better willpower. I'm thinking, oh, I need to find why you're craving that food so we can hit it at the root cause. Maybe you blame yourself for not exercising enough. Maybe if you worked out 3 hours a day, then maybe you could reach your goals. Totally silly, right? Many people exist in this world. They have a nice body composition and they do not work out. So clearly it's wrong. You don't have to do any of those things to lose weight naturally. And by the end of this workshop, you're going to understand how that is true. There's nothing wrong with your body or with you. You're going to understand the common mistakes that people make. You'll understand exactly why people hit plateaus and what they mean. And you're very likely going to have some major aha moments and realize why some weight loss approaches simply couldn't even work for you. And I hopefully already you've gotten some ahas. So this is what we're going to learn as we go through this masterclass series. The reason that your diet didn't work before, the one that you're trying and is not working, is because it's actually working against your body's current needs. Okay? So what it is that, worked for you in the past may have worked for you when you're in that state or at that age or at that time. But it's not meeting your needs now. So even despite doing the exact same thing that you're doing, it's not going to work, right? Like just like when I was in my early 20s and I switched to a whole foods diet and I just like naturally lost the weight. Like I did nothing different. I just literally like I just ate. I continued to eat, but instead of eating the standard North American diet, I ate a vegetarian whole foods diet. Okay. And then over like 2 years later, I literally was like, holy crap, I'm like at my ideal weight. But at that point, I'd become health conscious. So I was not trying to lose weight, but because I was health conscious and I was trying to nourish my body and give it what it needed, once I gave it what it needed, it let go of the things it didn't need, which was extra body fat. But then that same diet, that same natural whole foods vegetarian diet in my mid 30s had me obese. Okay. So same person, different time, right? So we always have to look at it that way, right? Like what works for you today is not going to work tomorrow necessarily, or what worked for you before is not going to work today. So we have to take a real individual approach. So in this masterclass series, you're going to get an understanding of what you need to learn how to work with your body instead of against it. Okay, so you're also going to understand the steps that you can take to make losing weight much easier, actually reach your health and weight loss goals, and keep the weight off permanently.